the land of misfit toys. This is to the ones that have been left behind. I get it. The ones with labels like unfocused, lazy, or stupid. The ones that are constantly being told to spit it out. But how can we be expected to respond to questions that are tailored to fit the normal kids, the ones that learn the right way? We don't think that way. We aren't lazy. We were just left behind before the race even started. Our whole lives we've been trying to play catch up, but we're never gonna make that finish line. We're never gonna meet the deadline because the things you request of us keep increasing. We put in triple the effort just to meet average marks. We shouldn't be making average marks. Can't you see that most of us have IQs in the 90th percentile or higher? We aren't unfocused either. There's just too much going on in our brains to pay attention to just one thing. I can't think how many times I've been ridiculed by teachers or peers for asking off-topic questions. It's not off-topic just because your brain doesn't make the link. And I'll never be able to explain the blank gazes I receive when I ask a question, just because they can't ever see how I could have come to that conclusion. I'm often redirected, forced to relook at whatever one-size-fits-all lesson plan we were working on. If you could just look at the girl who sits in the second row, the one that often has a blank look on her face. She's not paying attention. She's just focused in on something different. I won't ever be top of my class. I put in the effort, but you'll never recognize it. More often than not, people will talk of my potential, how I could have done great things had I just put in the work. We put in the work, just it's not recognized because it's not the work that you were expecting. And I know you have a syllabus, and I know you have deadlines to make, and I know there are standardized testing at the end of the year that's going to decide my fate, and I know the government lays out your path, and I know that I need to follow that path, but could you just look up from your notes for 1 second and realize that I'm drowning here? Realize that the girl that sits in the second row isn't zoned out, she's just trying to think on her own. What kids who don't learn the common way will tell you is that we often have an A to B problem, or at least that's how I see it. 'Cause I can get to A, and I know what B is supposed to look like. But here's the problem. I call it the disconnect. We're forced to make up the in-between because the cookie-cutter instructions that you gave the rest of the class aren't going to cut it for us. Kids with learning disabilities are misfit toys, the minorities that walk the hall that aren't ever going to be recognized because we don't fit into the assembly line of an education system you laid out for us. We're rejects on the outside. No one seems that concerned with the fact that 33% of us have been held back a grade, or that 50% of us were suspended or expelled from school in 2011, or the fact that 19% of us will drop out, or that 68% of us will graduate with a regular diploma. The remainder of us receive a certificate of completion like a participation ribbon because we didn't quite make the finish line. But that's the way the world works, because more than half of us are just scraping by. You can ignore the 32% of us that didn't make the jump. We aren't stupid. We aren't lazy. We just don't fit the box you made for us. I promise, if you tried, you could see that the girl that sits in the second row, that deep inside she's paying attention, and she knows more than every other girl in that classroom, but she doesn't have the chance because her brain is trapped in the body of a girl who can't learn the right way because that's the way the education system tells us we should learn.